Hello, and welcome to My Arab Dad, the podcast where we interview Arabs from all over the world to explore the layered, complex, and incredible relationships we have with our dads. Conversations we don't usually have about the dynamics that shaped us. If you're an Arab dad, partnered with one, a baba to be, or simply have one, then this is the show for you. I'm your host, Ibrahim Kamel, and this is deeply personal to me. I have an Arab dad. I am an Arab dad. So I want to delve into what makes us tick with equal parts humor, compassion, and insight. In today's episode, my guest Bahaa opens up about his complicated dynamic with his dad. He reflects on how a car accident triggered an internal struggle about whether to mend their relationship while still maintaining deep empathy for a man carrying his own pain. At the end of the episode, Bahaa offers valuable advice for Arab dads today. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to My Arab Dad. I'm joined by my guest today, Bahaa. Hi Bahaa.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Nice to be here.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Please.
So Bahaa, could you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you live now, what you do for work?
Sure. So I'm Egyptian originally. Both my parents are Egyptian, but I've never really lived there. I lived there for 2 years, separate 2 years, and I've had the great privilege of moving around a lot, growing up in the States, in France, Switzerland, and now the UK. Although before that I was in Portugal, which is very important. But now I'm in the UK. I live in London. I work in London. I work as sort of a strategy manager within an insurance company.
Cool. Well, let's jump in.
Sure.
What do you call your dad?
Ooh, big questions to start. I was thinking about this. I call him Pa, which is interesting because I don't know if that's Egyptian or English. I feel like it's an amalgamation, right? So in Egypt, people call their dads Baba or Papi. And Baba was too Egyptian for me. It was too Arab. I didn't have that I feel like I didn't have the Egyptianness enough to go for like a Baba. It's like deep and heavy. But Papi sounds really kind of like this posh, Papi, could you get me my Prada bag, please?
Exactly.
So I somehow turned it into Pa. I just shortened Papi to Pa. And I same with my mom. I call my mom Ma. But Baba's more like...
It's heavy.
Yeah,
it has gravitas.
Exactly.
Because
I can't pull off a Baba.
No, neither can I.
No, and I wouldn't want to be called Baba either.
I am not Baba.
Okay.
What
does Leif call you actually?
Daddy.
Oh yeah.
Daddy.
Little British boy.
So, can you describe Pa in 3 words?
In 3 words, okay. I would say good-hearted, either vindictive or vengeful. I couldn't decide between the two, but you get the gist. And then short-tempered.
Could you tell me about your family setup growing up?
Sure.
Were your parents married? Were they divorced? Obviously, you said you moved around a lot. Kind of tell me what
100%.
that was like.
Okay, so both my parents are Egyptian. They're both diplomats. This is important for both sort of explaining my sort of youth and how they met. So they met in the diplomatic corps. And then I think they had me shortly thereafter. I was born in London, that's where my father was posted. And then they stayed, because they were both diplomats, it's actually an Egyptian law, but I don't know if it's similar for other countries' diplomats, but for Egypt, it's rare that there's a married couple that are both diplomats, right? That's not super common.
Yeah.
But when it does happen, they're not allowed to be posted in the same country. So they were always in different countries from when I was born. So London was the only place they were both at. My mom took a sabbatical from the ministry to be with me, and she moved with my father to London. They were together, and that's the last place they were ever in the same city. From there on out, they moved different places, different times, and I was more often than not with my mother, right? If given the choice, all things being equal, I would travel with my mother instead of my father. But there were times when my mom was back in Egypt. So Egyptian diplomat does 4 years abroad, 2 years in Egypt. 4 years abroad, 2 years in Egypt. And so when my mother was in Egypt, my father was in Switzerland, for example, they decided to put me in Switzerland, keep me with my dad, just because they wanted to continue my foreign education. Though in hindsight, I'm not sure that was better or worse, because we can get to that in a bit. But so they were separated from, effectively separated from when I was 2. And then I think they properly got separated as a couple when I was 10, as in didn't want to be together anymore.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really any change to anything I was used to. Even when they were together, I don't remember in the same city. They were always apart. They got separated when I was about, I want to say 10 or 11, and then properly divorced when I was 20 something.
Why, if given the choice, would you prefer to be with your mom?
I mean, I'm much closer to my mother than my father.
Same.
Much closer to her. She's kinder. She's more caring. She's more patient. She's my father was difficult. I mean, I love him. I think I know I love him. That came out wrong. I love him, but he's a very difficult person to be around. And so now I'm better equipped to deal with it. I think as a kid it was difficult, and so yeah, I just way prefer being with my mother. But I did prefer to be abroad than back in Egypt. So the times when my mother was in Egypt, I was with my father, for example, in Switzerland. And yeah, that's sort of the long and short.
Thinking about the 3 words that you said, you said good-hearted, you said kind of vindictive / vengeful, and you said short-tempered. Yeah. Could you tell me about like what your dynamic was like with your dad growing up?
Yeah, my dad's a complicated person. I think that's the first and only place I should start. He really had a difficult childhood, so there's me trying to be objective and sort of, let me rephrase, I don't really get along with my father, and it's only gotten worse over time. We have a difficult relationship. I think he's incredibly mean and cruel. Maybe cruel would have been one of the words I used instead of vindictive or vengeful, actually. But he can be really cruel. He was quite emotionally abusive at many times. Difficult man. But he had a really... So that's how it affects me. That's like the sort of subjective view. But when I'm trying to be objective or try to be fair to him, I know he had a really difficult childhood. And he had a difficult father. And you know these things are cyclical, right? So
of course.
Trauma is passed on generation to generation. And he had a really difficult father. He... also lost his mother at a really difficult age when he was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no good time to lose your mother, but like that's almost the worst. Like younger than that, maybe you don't remember as much. Older, you're a bit better. But he was at a really sort of, I think it was somewhere between 11 and 13. So, and his father was really horrible. So like he had to go through sort of the grief on his own, and had like quite, what I understand, also an abusive father. So yeah, so he had a difficult life, and it certainly affected how he is. He's like, well, what makes it difficult is he's a very charismatic person. So anyone who sees him from afar and sees him at work thinks, oh, you have such a charming and wonderful father. But that is just a complete facade, right? He's a diplomat through and through. He knows how to play the room. He knows how to like act in a certain way in front of whomever. But when he's in the confines of his own home is really when the true character comes out. And he just takes out, I mean, he must be hurting. I know he's hurting somewhere. And he just takes that pain. You know, like hurt people hurt. Yeah. So I think he'd take it out on me. He'd take it out on my mother. He was really difficult. So I think that sort of explains why I use the words sort of vindictive, vengeful, cruel, short-tempered. Yeah. He'd lose his temper really easily. He'd shout at anything, you know, like you spill a glass of water on the table and it's just like shouting, and are you idiot, are you stupid, this is why you're stupid, or just stuff like that. Or so I think that's why I would say cruel and short-tempered. Cruel is because he says things that he knows are gonna hurt you. Yeah, right? Like it's just it's not just random insults, it's targeted insults. Like he's perceptive. He has high emotional intelligence. That's what makes it worse, right? Like he's a well-honed missile. If that makes sense. He's not like just a scattergun. Like he when he shoots, he knows where he's aiming at, and he knows how to hurt you. And so he'd say really, really hurtful stuff. Growing up, I was always really sensitive, so I guess to a very backwards and patriarchal and homophobic culture like Egypt,
toxic masculinity, and like you can't show any vulnerability.
Being sensitive and sort of a little bit sometimes even effeminate as a kid.
Yeah.
Would to him be like, oh my god, you're like such a don't be such a woman, don't be such a wussy.
F-slur, like
exactly, stuff like that. So it's a lot of that stuff, or just knowing I'm insecure and being like, oh, your friends all don't like you, and this is why they don't like you. Just really horrible stuff like that. But the good-hearted, to put up. Yeah,
that was going to be my next question. Where's the good-hearted?
Because like I said at the beginning when I was trying to be objective, I know he has a good heart deep down, and he's never been physically abusive, never. It's just he's hurt. He's extremely hurt. He's a lot of complications and pain and stuff to work through comes from a generation that frowned on mental health.
I mean, pretend like it didn't even exist.
Health, but like frowned on getting
help. Like poor mental health. Like there was no such thing as having poor mental health.
Exactly. And the concept of therapy or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or just completely
no way.
So I know that all of this is coming from a place of pain.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't excuse it, but it doesn't keep me from saying that I know he has a good heart. And in all the things, like, I can't also complain. Like, he did support me financially by helping to pay for university. Like, I always had a place to stay if I needed. I know he's kind somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the facade and the charisma.
Yeah.
Because that really strikes a chord with me. My dad wasn't a diplomat, but diplomacy was a big part of my dad's job. And he was a regional director for the Arab world.
Oh.
So whenever health ministers would come to Tunis, he would invite them. Whenever ambassadors of certain countries, he would invite them.
And I'm sure he was a completely different person in front of them than he was around you.
And honestly, and I remember when we used to do the family dinners or the family lunches of today we're going to take out like the family of this dignitary. So these family dinners were like we all had to be ambassadors in a sense, right?
Because everyone's hosting. It's like the whole family's hosting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I would see him be the most charming person on the planet. He's charming and he's generous and he's inviting and he's hilarious. Although I always knew he was hilarious. And you're like, who?
Does that make you sad? It's like, who's this person? Yeah.
What are you?
Why aren't you like this with me?
Why aren't you like this with me?
Yeah. How can I get this person?
So, how would you feel, for example, when you would think, why isn't he like this with me? Would you attribute it to yourself? Would you attribute it to him? What? Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. Now that you're saying it, you actually just reminded me of a funny memory. It wasn't just that it would hurt because you'd see him like that with him. In fact, like you were saying, when people would come over or there's an event, the whole family's hosting, right? Like, it's not just my father as the ambassador, it's me and my mom, and we'd, even as a kid, even as a 9-year-old, I'd be part of the dinner. Obviously, I'd be in the corner playing my Game Boy and just sitting on the chair. But, he'd be proud of me, he'd be showing me. But what upset me isn't how he would act to other people there, it's how he would act to me in front of other people, because other people are there, so he'd be like so sweet. He's like, Bahaa, my little boy, come here. Oh, you're playing a game. What's this game that you're playing? So cool. And he's doing it like he's so narcissistic that he's doing it as an act for other people rather than for me. And I think that would upset me more than him being nice to other people. It's like, wow, so like you can pretend to be a normal father to your son, but it's like you don't want to act it. Whatever. I guess like a sweaty time.
What's your relationship like with him now? You said it got worse over time, and usually it's the other way around.
No, ours got worse because I think once I got older, I kind of realized how bad the sort of abuse he did was. As a kid, I was really because I didn't see him often and I didn't live with him, I'd make him bigger in my head. I'd lionize him and be like, wow, daddy's the greatest, etc. And whenever I saw him and he was awful, I was like, oh, he must be stressed or he must be going through a tough time. But now that I'm older, he got worse. First of all, I think in his old age, so he's not just like this with me. I think he's just like this with a lot of people.
You don't have any siblings, right?
No.
Okay.
He's like this with a lot of people, and I think he doesn't have many friends now that he's older, so he's become more of a bitter man. He's sort of a bitter, resentful, angry, old man.
Entrenched in his ways.
100%.
Yeah.
No, and just with a real anger management problem. This is not uncommon in Egypt, I would say.
Not at all. I'm an Egyptian dad, and I have anger management
really?
issues. Yeah.
I would not see that in you.
Because I got it from my dad.
Interesting.
And also years of therapy means that I'm working really, really, really hard to rein it in. But I have a short temper.
Oh, wow.
And it is a thing between Laith and I. And Laith will be if you were to ask Laith what do you love about your dad, Laith would say everything, except he raises his voice way too often.
Oh, wow.
100%.
Oh,
and
wow.
and he's not wrong.
Okay.
And that's like my journey as a dad, is just to come up.
I've never seen that in you.
Well, I mean, this kind of goes back to the facade.
Yeah.
Right? This kind of goes like the I don't have two versions of myself that I present to the world and that I present to Leith. But at the same time, Leith sometimes elicits certain triggers in me that adults don't. For example, I feel very frustrated when I don't feel like I'm heard.
Okay.
Every single parent on this planet does not feel like they're heard. Because you'd be like, put your shoes on. Okay. No, the right foot. No, the other right foot. No, your right foot. Right? Okay. So that kind of stuff is like, sit down and eat your dinner. And then when that doesn't happen, then that can trigger like a bit of like,
I'm scared to upset you. It's like, what should I say right now?
Yeah, just make sure you put your shoes on and you eat your dinner, Bahaa. If you do those things, we'll be golden.
I try my best. Shoes, food, gotcha.
But I think it's interesting because like a lot of the times what happens is that as time goes on, older men, and I would say in specific older Arab men, are much more reflective over their life and over their relationship with their kids, especially if they don't have, or if they didn't have great relationships with their kids. But it sounds like your dad did not go on that path.
No, I don't think so. No, we don't have a very good relationship. And to be honest, to finish off what we were saying before, of him getting older and kind of a bit more angry and a bit more bitter, and then me realizing sort of how he'd been as a kid, we slowly started talking less and less, and then I kind of made the decision about 8 months ago to cut him off. And so
completely,
we haven't spoken, said a word to each other, seen each other since early August last year.
Wow.
Yeah, which you would know in Egyptian, certainly Egyptian, maybe Middle Eastern culture, that's like a big no-no, right? Like family is everything there. So if you tell someone that you cut off a cousin, they think that you were mad and that you're horrible. And so to cut off your own father is a pretty big deal. But it just got to the point where it was only ever just hurting me, right? Like we'd meet up and he's a difficult person. So that was and really
still difficult.
Yeah, so that was a really difficult decision to do as an Egyptian, right? Like it's really not something you do, or it's not something people want to see. So we haven't spoken for a while.
One of the things that I'm quite interested in, and like obviously there's an irony in doing a podcast called My Arab Dad in English.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm doing it in English is, because there are lots of kind of Arabs who grew up outside of the region but still retain their Arab identity. Even if you're in Dearborn, Michigan, you could be more Arab than somebody who grew up in Zamalek, which is a posh neighborhood in Cairo, right? So I'm curious to hear from your experience, someone who's essentially a third culture kid, as the term is phrased. How Egyptian was your dad in how he raised you? Did he make sure you watched Egyptian cinema? Did you watch football matches? Like kind of to the extent that he did, how did he make you retain your Egyptianness?
That's a good question. It's an interesting question, actually, because I don't see my dad as a very Egyptian dad, but he probably considers himself very Egyptian, right? So he is 100% Egyptian, grew up there. But he was also a diplomat's son. So his father was a diplomat.
Oh.
And he lived abroad a lot of his life.
Cycles.
Yeah, but he was in Egypt much more than I was, because only his dad was Egyptian, not both the parents. Okay. So he would do 4 years abroad, but then he'd do 2 years in Egypt.
Sorry, only his dad was a diplomat.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean?
Yeah. And so they'd always come back to Egypt every 4 years. So he had a base there. There was a lot less traveling back in the day. I think sometimes he'd stay in Egypt for a couple of years while his dad was abroad.
Right.
He played on an Egyptian football team. So he had a very Egyptian... Yeah.
What, the national football team?
No, not the national. Like the...
Under-21s or whatever.
Under-21s of... I can't remember. He was quite good at football.
Wow.
So he had a much more Egyptian upbringing. But then I think once he grew up and lived abroad, it probably triggered the parts of him that lived abroad as a kid. And he was very much, one of those Egyptians that likes to be very foreigner. I listen to the cool music, I wear the cool glasses, and I know everything, and this is the coolest thing in the world right now. He certainly kept that sort of coolness with his old age, I have to say. It was quite endearing, actually. But I wouldn't say he instilled anything Egyptian. If anything, I think he tried to show me that he was similar to me as a foreigner, right? Because he knew I was not Egyptian.
Oh, I see.
So I think he tried to act. He always tried to act really cool. That really mattered to him, actually, for some reason. To act really cool and be really cool. Like hip, like cool as in like I'm with the times, you know?
Funky, hip, fresh.
Yeah, like one time, like I was listening to Post Malone. He's like, I knew Post Malone before anyone else knew Post Malone. I'm like, all right, that's that kind of
okay,
thing.
boomer.
Exactly, literally okay, boomer. Yeah, this was like after Post Malone's like third album, and he's like, I discovered Post Malone. I'm like, okay. He's that kind of guy, right? Like,
yeah.
Or he'd be like, I met this person and like said that I had the most interesting like stories. It's just like sort of that kind of vibe, which is not completely un-Egyptian, by the way. Like,
no, not at all.
Like completely make stories bigger than they are. Like you could have been somewhere.
Embellish.
Yeah,
artistic license.
Exactly. But it's a bit more than artistic license. It's like artistic, like I don't know what's bigger than license.
Fabrication.
Yeah, artistic fabrication, literally. Which is sweet because he probably does it to his son to make his son think that
he wants
really
to impress you.
100%.
He wants to impress you.
100%.
It's always important for me when we're having these conversations to discuss the good as well as the bad.
Yeah.
So can you share like one of the funniest or nicest memories of your dad?
Yeah, of course. I think maybe less than one specific memory. It's more an area. Music and football were always our safe spaces. He loved football. He loved watching football, and I adore football. So I'd say I probably got it from him, and that's something that I really appreciate. Football. I've played football a lot. We played football together.
We played football together, and we have shared trauma because we were not chosen
for like a trip or something.
For a trip on the junior varsity.
That's a tangent. That's a whole podcast in itself.
Honestly.
On like the cruelty of creating a 15-person football team, but only 13 of them get to go at the end of your trip. Not like 13 make the team. 15 people make the team at the beginning of the year out of like 60 tryouts. They pick 15 players. And then they tell the 15 players that only 13 are going to go on a trip at the end of the year.
Yep.
So the team spends a whole year, season, playing together, bonding together, and at the end, 2 people are kicked off the team. It's like some like Survivor, but like they vote people off the island, but with a football team, and we're 13. Like, what is this trauma? Like, why? What? Like, we're not professionals. Why are you kicking off people? Whatever. Anyways, I'm sorry.
That's the other podcast.
That's the other podcast called Egyptian Football Teams. No, music and football. So obviously football's a big part of my life. And up until we cut him off, I would have like this it's like once a month box ticking exercise. Like I got to see my dad this month. It's been a while. I feel bad. Poor guy. He's getting older. He's alone. And I know anything we do, if I invited friends, he'd make fun of me in front of their friends. He'd make fun of my friends. He'd be quite cool, but not like in a funny, cute way.
Yeah.
Like really belittling. Anyway, so watching football is the one safe place, right? If there's a big Champions League game, I'd be like, hey dad, let's go to the and always in public, never alone at home.
No.
I'd be like, hey dad,
God forbid.
Big Liverpool Barcelona game. Let's go to the pub and watch it.
Yeah.
And that was fun. He does actually have good taste in music, and I think I got my taste in music from him.
Okay, nice.
And he's continued having good taste in music even as older. Like obviously it straddled the line.
Yeah.
Sometimes of being like, okay, boomer.
Yeah.
But you know what? Everyone's entitled to the music they want to hear. And if my dad wants to listen to like house music at the age of 62,
sure,
that's effing cool.
Yeah, of course it is.
So he's still very much, he's not your typical like 40, 50, 60-year-old when it comes to music. And we had like a really fun memory on the subject of music. Let me caveat this by saying early days Coldplay, not current Coldplay.
Of course.
Would be frowned on.
Uh-huh.
Early days Coldplay were really cool.
Yeah, of course they were.
And he really liked Coldplay, and I really like Coldplay because he liked Coldplay, and he'd always play them in the car for me. And those were our happy moments when he'd be driving me around and there'd be music in the car, and it was fun. So a really fun memory I remember having was we were both really excited about Coldplay's new album coming out. This was before you could download stuff. So he went out and bought the CD as soon as the day it came out. I think it was X and Y.
Wow.
Their third album.
So that's what, 2005, 2006, something like that, right?
Maybe even earlier.
X and Y had Fix You.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was actually the year I was living in Cairo, so it would have been...
So it would have been 2004, 05.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
04, 05.
Wow.
So he went out and bought the CD, and woke me up early that morning. I was a kid, right? So it was a weekend.
Yeah.
We'd sleep until like 10:30. So he left early, bought the CD, came back home, and then put like the sound system really loud, so that would be the way he wakes me up. Played the song, and I think Speed of Sound was the first song.
Wow.
And that's how he woke me up, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
Not just because it's Coldplay, but that he wanted to share that moment with me. And I think probably now in hindsight, how happy I was at that point is because that's what I wanted all the time from him. It was like the one time he finally showed thoughtfulness. That he left, thought of me, went out and did something for me because he thought of me and wanted to make me happy.
Was there ever a time that he was proud of you, and that he expressed it?
Off the top of my head, I can't even think of one. I felt like he resented me, which is strange to say, and I don't mean it in the sense of like, oh my god, I'm such a baller, like my dad's so jealous of me, oh my god, not at all, obviously not. I just mean that like he resented, probably again comes from the same place. It comes from the place of like pain and whatever trauma he had from his childhood. He probably resented the fact that I had a loving mother and a comfortable upbringing. So I think weirdly, because of how, let me put it this way, maybe he didn't say the word proud, but the happiest I'd ever seen him is anytime I showed affection towards him.
Okay.
Or did something that showed that I thought of him. And that probably shows that he has a lot of pain, and he himself probably has 10x what I'm talking about, that he had no one to show him love. At least I had my mother, who was lovely. I can only imagine how messed up he was to have a really awful father. Sounds like he was even worse than he has been to me. And no mother. And he had a really cruel stepmother, which I don't know much about. I would have talked about it at the beginning, but I don't know much about her. I've never met her.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think he's hurt and he's never been shown affection and love. So the thing he craves the most is unconditional love, and that there's someone to show that they thought of them or cared for them. So he was happiest or proudest maybe when I do something for him, which wasn't that often because we didn't live together for a long time. But I don't know, like if I got him a little present, or like a kid's present, you go out and you buy a piece of gum for yourself and you buy an extra one for your dad, and then you give him. He was happiest then anytime I did something good. When I did something good, he'd make sure to bring me down a level because he didn't want to see me happy, because he'd get resentful. And so
now that you've had the accident, which happened, I guess, 3 months after, no, 2 months even, 3 months after you decided to cut your dad off.
Yes.
Has the accident made you revisit that?
No, but it makes me feel weird because he doesn't even know what happened to me. He has no idea. Like
because you cut him off, so
we don't talk, and we have no connection.
And your mom wouldn't have told him?
No, they don't talk at all. And now she respects my boundaries with him.
Okay, that's really good. That's really good.
I mean, she makes comments here and there that you should probably tell him. And to be honest, I sometimes think I should. That's what's kind of, I feel guilty that I haven't told him.
Okay.
Because it's significant. For context, I was biking and was hit by a car, and it was quite
very intense.
Yeah, I was in the hospital, and then I couldn't walk for a bit. Lost my tooth. Massive concussion.
You got lucky.
I got massively lucky, and so far as a crash of that magnitude is, I got insanely lucky that I didn't have any severe long-term
injuries or damage. Or
exactly. I really got lucky.
Okay.
But it was serious, and haven't told my dad. And I was struggling. I mean, I couldn't walk for 3 weeks. And then concussed for 2 months. So that I never felt the urge to tell my dad. It goes both ways. It feels significant that I never got the urge to tell my dad. It feels that I really probably have just cut him off emotionally. Or maybe weirdly, in a subconscious way, it's my way of punishing him. It's like, which is horrible of me, but it's like I'm getting revenge on him. I don't think I consciously do that, but for some reason, just thinking about that now with you is making me think it. But I just haven't told him.
I think there is a natural reaction to consciously or subconsciously make a decision of, no, you don't get access.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get access.
Exactly, access. That's a good word.
But thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. So now,
Oh my god.
the questions round. In front of you, you have 4 questions that I'd like you to choose from over 2 rounds. Each round, you get to choose 1 question. Once you've responded to 1 question, you can then reveal what the other question was.
Okay.
Right. So between questions 1 and 2, which would you like?
Let's go for 2.
Okay. Can you read it out loud, please?
If you could have told your dad anything growing up, what would it be? I guess it's from what we said today. I'd like to have told him that he believed me, that I did love him. I just didn't love how he treated me. So, yeah.
Did he sometimes not believe that you loved him?
I don't think he allowed himself to believe it. That's where the pain comes from. I don't think he probably doesn't think he deserved love and that no one loved him. And, yeah. But that's armchair psychology, right?
But the thing is, that explains a lot and that contextualizes a lot. He grew up with a very abusive father. He grew up with a very unkind stepmother. He didn't receive love. You know, it's entirely possible that his dad communicated to him, "You are not worthy of love."
Yeah, maybe.
So if you do not believe you are worthy of love, you will not open up yourself to it.
Yeah.
You can't. You have not been provided the tools to do that.
Yeah.
Next round. Or would you like to reveal the question?
I'll reveal a question.
Go for it.
Do you wish your dad raised you to be more Egyptian?
So we've kind of covered this. Yeah.
Quick answer for you.
Right. Questions 3 and 4.
Let's go for 3.
Okay.
No, let's go for 4.
Okay.
Does your dad help you maintain your Egyptian identity? Not really.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because obviously now that you don't...
so he doesn't at all.
Yeah.
But if anything, like I was telling you earlier, I think if anything, he felt like I reminded him of his non-Egyptian parts. So he perpetuated my non-Egyptianness. That's not a word.
I guess I find it a little ironic that literally a representative of the Egyptian government wasn't like... You know, like Inta Masri. Yeah. You know, you are Egyptian. Your home country is Egypt. We're gonna do fitar. We're gonna, you know, like if he was like an immigrant who had left Egypt in the 60s and 70s and then moved to France or Britain or Australia or whatever, and then kind of wanted to abandon his Egyptian identity and wanted you to fit in, and was like, "No, son, you're British."
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But he was an ambassador. Yeah. It was his job to be the face of Egypt.
But it's a job. It's also a job at the end of the day, right?
It's a job that spills into the personal life, though, in a way that I think.
No, let me rephrase.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. It becomes part of your personal life, but
exactly.
I think you lose sight of when you're in something. You don't think in such macro terms, right? It's not like you are right. Effectively, an Egyptian diplomat's job is to represent their country's government and enact the will of the establishment, of the current president or prime minister or whatever, home and abroad. Not home.
Yeah.
But that's the headline, right? In your day-to-day life, you're not sitting there like, how am I representing Egypt today? You're just like, you're just doing, you know? Like some guy gives you a memo, you read the memo, then you're like, okay, what is France's position on the Iraq war?
Right.
And it's like, okay, Egyptian diplomat is going to talk to the French diplomat or a French civil servant.
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking? What's the strategy here? Like, let's discuss. You just get so bogged down in the day-to-day. I don't think you should. I mean, like, that's definitely something you should do. But you're not like, I am enacting Egypt's will today. If I was a diplomat, I would overuse that, to be honest with you.
But
like,
so would I.
If we're hanging out, I'd be like, you know what? I really like this tuna salad that you made me, but it is the will of the Egyptian people that I eat my salad. So I'm going to eat my own salad, right? I just like, yeah.
Your loss. I make a fantastic tuna salad.
Okay,
it's literally one of the 4 dishes I know how to make.
Oh wow!
No, I mean, sorry, it's one of the 6 dishes I know how to make.
Okay.
I'm a horrific cook.
Okay, that's very Egyptian of you.
That is very Egyptian man of me.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, I am in that sense. I'm definitely living up to the stereotype.
Okay.
So, in this segment,
yes.
I'm going to read out a number of statements that I'd like you to complete.
Okay.
You can either follow your gut instinct and respond immediately, or you can take a beat and think about your answer.
Okay. Gut. I'm gonna go gut.
I felt most connected to my dad when?
We watch football together or listen to music together, which I touched on.
Which you've touched on. Nothing else?
Nah, not really. No.
Traveling, holidays?
In the car. I don't know. Car vibes was fun for us. I sit at the front. Because he used to make me sit at the front way earlier than my mom did. So sitting in the front of the car, listening to music, acting cool. He had his sunglasses. He was very cool. I stole those sunglasses actually. When I
You
got older.
did?
Yeah. He looked really cool, those glasses actually.
What kind of glasses were they?
These are just classic Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
Like the, you know the ones that are...
The Wayfarers.
Wayfarers. But you know the ones that are particularly tilted?
Yeah.
Those were so cool.
Yeah.
To this day I find those like the coolest sunglasses.
They are.
Yeah.
I was most proud of my dad when?
He got a good... he got posted in Switzerland in a pretty high position, and I was really proud of him professionally. Because I know he cared about his career. My dad... And it's funny, we spent almost an hour and a half talking now, and I've not once mentioned my dad's work life. But he work was his life. That's where he put all his energy. That's where I think that's partly why he's a bit more bitter now in old age, because he's retired. But he just, work was everything to him. And so, because he cared about it so much, I was someone that cared about him. So when I saw that he was happy about work, I was happy for him. And that was the happiest he'd ever been with work, so that was the proudest I've been of him.
I was most disappointed by my dad when?
He's done a lot of mean stuff, but weirdly the thing that stuck, and this has stuck with me till today, was I was at school and I was playing the violin. And I wanted to play guitar, but my parents made me pick the violin just because it was like more classical. They're very snooty, my parents.
But also very surprising. Your dad's super cool. Like, why didn't you let you play guitar?
That's a really good question. I think this was my mom's influence a bit more. My mom is very aristocratic. And the school set up like an end of year concert where all the parents come to. My mom wasn't living with me at the time. She was living in a different country. I was living with my father at the time. It was the first time I'd ever played my instrument in front of more than two people. And this was like a
end of year concert and parents and the school.
It's a big. It was like in the auditorium of the school, and we had a big school, so it was like, like 150 people there probably, which is not much when you're older.
It's a lot when you're 15.
When you're 15, playing your first instrument or only instrument, and playing in your first public event. And I begged my dad has let me down a lot in his life, and I know he didn't show up to stuff, but this one in particular, I asked him so many times to come. But the whole time, when you're sitting waiting for your turn, I was like not worried about what was coming, but really stressed that I'm like, I hope my dad makes it. So he didn't make the start of the concert, which of course he never would. I told him at the time of the concert. He didn't know I was playing in the middle. I just told him the start of the concert. Yeah. He didn't show up. So I was just kept looking at the door, kept looking at my watch, kept looking at the door. Wasn't even thinking that I was going to be next. And I think I seemed so upset, and I was the only kid with no one there. Like, imagine what that's like as being a 14-year-old. Yeah. And you have like people had brought, like the parents had both come, brought their sisters, brought their friends. And this was, like an international school, so you have like different like lots of. It's kind of sweet. You see every country like family with their cultural like sort of.
Attire, and they're like
because it was like considered like a fancy event. You told parents come in like fancy clothes.
Right.
It's like an end of your concert, so you see like every country's traditional clothes. And I'm literally sat there alone, and I think I looked really sad that the principal who was there came and sat next to me to like have someone there.
Wow.
And then it was my turn. I went up, and my dad wasn't there, and I just played, and I just remember not even being like shy or nervous, but just being really sad I was doing it. Yeah. So I'm like, who's this for? And then I went back down and sat, and I think I started crying.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't cry during. I would have. No, seriously, I would have cried during.
Yeah.
So good, like.
Yeah. Anyways, he ended up showing up, but like 10 minutes before the end, and it was just like, what's the point? And I was just really sad. So that's by far the most time he's disappointed me.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I knew my dad loved me when?
That's a hard question for me to answer, because I don't think he ever did anything to show it, but I never doubted it either.
Interesting.
Yeah. I guess in his wanting to like assume the traditional Egyptian parental role, that's the way he showed me love, is to be harsh with me, is his way of showing love.
Until this day, I will never understand how anybody thinks harsh love is effective.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I felt like I truly understood my dad when
I got older, and I saw through all of this, and the things I'm saying to you, that like I recognize that he's like this because he's been hurt. So I think once I've made him smaller in my head, like he's not this big scary dad, he's just a human like anyone else. And I feel that's when I understood him. I'm like, okay, this is just a person who's hurting other people.
I like the concept of I made him smaller in my head.
Yeah.
No, I like that, and I feel like that really resonates with me because I feel like I did that.
Yeah.
But that only happened again. That only happened once I got older.
Yeah.
You can't do it when you're younger. So there's no way to like soften the blow of like what your dad does, because when you're, up until you're like 18, you don't really think of your parents as individuals in that kind of sense.
Yeah.
They occupy this very like not authoritarian, but this very like upper echelon kind of like they're on like a completely different stratosphere. Sure. And then when you bring them down to where you are, you're like, oh. Finally, what advice would you give to any Arab dads today?
That it's okay to be not emotional, but that it's okay to show vulnerability. That you can maintain your culture and your Egyptianness without having to keep up this very like sort of macho patriarchal facade. Like a lot of the time you'd hear it's like, oh, don't be such a Westerner. Don't be such like a Don't be such like a soft foreigner. And you don't have to equate vulnerability to being non-Arab. I think there's nothing more beautiful or profound than like a caring and vulnerable Arab, because our culture actually really promotes vulnerability and emotion, and you see people being really close to each other in the Middle East, at least in my life experience, which might be anecdotal.
No, but same here,
like
to be honest.
People in the Middle East are way more open about their emotions. They ask about each other. People share their stories, their struggles with strangers. You wouldn't do that so much like abroad. It'd be like, how are you? Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah.
Both people are like dying inside. In Egypt, we're way melodramatic. Like,
yeah.
It's like you've had like, like you bumped your toe and like you stubbed your toe on the fridge.
I almost died today.
Yeah, like I almost died today. You don't have to let that happen. Or like people share everything.
Yeah.
So we're such a culture that is so attuned to emotion and love and togetherness. But we have this really outdated idea of what a not just a male, but a male like a father figure should be like. And I think it'd be really profound and powerful if we could break that. And so that's what I would say.
That's really beautiful, and I want to thank you for that. And honestly, that's something that I'm trying to do with Laith. Bahaa, thank you so much for your time today.
Please, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for sharing all of your experiences.
No, it's been really interesting and therapeutic almost. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Amateur therapy.
Exactly.
Disclaimer. I am not a therapist.
Trust me, I didn't think you were.
If you are having struggles with your mental health, please see a therapist, because I'm absolutely not one. No, but seriously though, like again, thank you for sharing your experiences, and like it's obviously not easy, and it's sometimes it's a bit difficult when we kind of bring up that trauma. Yes, when we bring up that trauma, but I do feel like there's a lot of empathy where you're coming from, and it's really, really nice to see.
Thank you. That means a lot.
All right, we'll be back.
Hey everyone. Big thanks to my guest Bahaa, who really bared his soul. It takes a certain strength to come on the show and elaborate on such a difficult relationship, and I really applaud Bahaa for doing it. It was hard not to get emotional in this episode, because many elements of Bahaa's upbringing felt very close to home. And yet, despite the heavy nature of our conversation, or the honest critique of our dads, Bahaa approached it all with remarkable empathy. He recognizes that his father struggled with his own mental health challenges, while also establishing boundaries to protect his own. I loved his advice at the end. There's nothing more beautiful or profound than a caring, vulnerable Arab man. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please hit the follow or subscribe button, and please follow me on my other socials. Links in the episode description. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. My Arab Dad is a complete content production. It's produced, hosted, and edited by Ibrahim Kamel. Intro and outro music by Karim Zamfali. Artwork by Enas Rahman.